Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Today I am going to be trying the Polygel sandwich method, except with a little twist. I am going to be using paper forms instead of the regular dual form sandwich kits. I'm going to be using the dual form and the paper form underneath, and we're going to see if this works or if it doesn't. I've never tried this sandwich method before, so I've really been wanting to try it out. Also, for the second half of this video, I am going to be doing some really cute strawberry nail art, so definitely stay tuned for that. I think this is going to be a pretty long video, so let's get straight into it and try out this Polygel sandwich method out. So I'm going to go ahead and size out my dual forms now. I'm just choosing whichever one fits my natural nails the best, but also keeping in mind that Polygel is going to go in those dual forms. So you do want a little extra space than usual compared to if you were just sizing out regular nail tips. So you do want the dual form to just be slightly larger than your natural nail. And that way you're accounting for the space that the Polygel is going to take up. In the past, I used to choose the dual forms that would perfectly fit my nail and not be any larger than my natural nail, and then I would have issues with there being gaps on the sides of my nail once I did apply the Polygel. So that's just a little tip to make sure you do choose the dual form just slightly larger. If you do think the dual form will still be too large for your nail, even with Polygel in it, then you can always file down the sides a little bit with a 100-180 grit file. And by the way, I do have some leftover product on my nails from my last nail set, but I'm definitely going to buff that off before applying the Polygel. I am placing the dual forms on a nail stand using clay to stick them down. This is kind of an optional step, just a preference thing. It just makes it a little bit easier, in my opinion, to apply the Polygel into the dual form. But if you don't have these, you can definitely just hold the dual form while applying the Polygel. As you can see, I did speed up the first couple minutes of this video just because I feel like it's not that interesting and maybe a little boring, but I did still want to include it just to give a few tips, and for anyone that might be new to dual forms, I did still want to put this in the video. But anyways, now we are moving on to natural nail prep. I am just going to buff my nails. Just making sure to scuff them up a little bit. You definitely don't want to buff them too much, otherwise you might damage them and just unnecessarily thin them out more, but just buff enough so the gel can stick on to your nails a little bit better. And I also did want to mention that for now on, I am going to add chapters to my videos so you can easily go to a specific section that you're looking for. Occasionally, I might forget, honestly, but I will try to remember to add chapters in the description box, just for anyone that might not want to watch nail prep, or maybe you're just looking for something specific. So I just thought I would let you all know. Next, I am just gently pushing back all my cuticles with this wooden cuticle pusher. I am now just brushing off my nails, and I also took an alcohol wipe and wiped everything down just to discontaminate everything, get all of that nail dust and debris off, and it also does act as a dehydrator. I am now going in with my Jello peel off base coat, but of course if you do want your polygel nails to last, you should just use regular base coat and maybe even a primer before applying the base coat if you want that extra retention. So I'm just applying my peel off base coat because I want to be able to pop them off so I can film more nail content for you guys. And I am not showing my thumbnail in this video because I am saving it for a YouTube short, and I am actually kind of disappointed that I didn't end up filming it for this video because I was really proud of the application process of my thumbnail compared to the rest of my nails, because honestly I didn't do that great for the rest of my nails in terms of the Polygel dual form application, which you'll see here in a little bit that it didn't go very well. But for my thumbnail, I actually did pretty well compared to the rest of them, and I was just really disappointed I didn't film it for this video. But anyways, if you do want to see it, I will post a short shortly after this video is posted. So I'm going to cure that, and then these two next steps I only recommend if you are using peel off base coat. If you just are using a regular base coat, then you can totally just ignore this. But if you're using peel off base coat, I would recommend removing the sticky layer with an alcohol wipe, and then you can just buff the shine off of the peel off base coat. Obviously you don't want to buff it so much that the peel off base coat comes off of your nails, but just a little scuff. This just helps ensure that once the polygel is applied, it stays on a little bit better, because I have had the issue where I'm filing the polygel and then the whole nail just pops off because I have a peel off base coat on. So scuffing it up the surface a little bit will help if you do have this issue. Today I'm going to be using the Model 1's slip solution. I'm just pouring it in this glass dish here, and I normally just use regular rubbing alcohol, but I had this bottle of slip solution that just had a little bit left in it, and I just thought I would use it up. And for the polygel, I am going to be using this light pink. I did get this polygel from a polygel nail kit from Shein, or Sheen, however you like to pronounce it. And I will be using the Model 1's brush. It is dual-ended. It has this brush on the top and then the little spatula at the bottom. I didn't end up using the spatula, but I thought this was really nice that it is dual-ended. So now that nail prep is over with, we can now start applying the polygel nails. So I am just squirting some polygel on the dual form. Honestly, I'm just kind of guesstimating how much I need, but I can always take some off or add some more if it's not the right amount. And I'm just taking my brush and patting the polygel down, kind of just spreading it out all throughout the nail and dipping it in the slip solution as needed. I did find that if I dipped it in the slip solution too often, the polygel would get a little too liquidy and hard to work with, so that's just something to keep in mind. But if the polygel is sticking to the brush, then the slip solution will definitely help with that. I do still consider myself a beginner when it comes to polygel nails, so I'm definitely not going to act like I know everything about doing polygel nails, but I'm just kind of giving you guys tips based on what I've learned so far, based on just my experience with it so far, and based on maybe some tips that I've learned online or through other tutorials. But there's definitely still a lot to learn, and I know I still need a ton of practice with polygel because I only do it every so often. I do usually do Gel X nails, and that's what a lot of my videos are about on my YouTube channel, but I definitely want to get better at polygel nails. I feel like I've gotten pretty good at Gel X nails now. I kind of want to move on to polygel and try to get good at that. And I'm not saying that I'm not going to do Gel X nails anymore. I definitely will still post videos of me doing Gel X nails and tips and tricks on Gel X nails and all of that. But you will probably see more polygel nails from me on this channel just because I do want to get more practice and get better at doing polygel nails. So I do have these paper forms, and I should also mention I have never used paper forms like this before, and I also have never done the polygel sandwich method before, and I do not have the sandwich dual forms that everyone has been using in the sandwich polygel videos, but I did want to see if I could do this method using paper forms instead. So this is kind of the main reason I wanted to make this video. It's kind of just an experiment. I wasn't sure if it was going to work out or not, but in the end the nail set turned out so cute, but I did have a little difficulty with this application. So as you can see here, I'm kind of just trying to figure out how to put the paper form on my finger and make it stick, and just kind of trying to figure out what position to have the paper form in. I was kind of having trouble with it staying in like the curved form that I wanted it to be in. And if you do ever use paper forms, you will want your natural nails to have a little bit of length to them. I mean, I think you could probably do it if your nails didn't have any length to them, but I think it's just so much easier if there is a little bit of length so that the paper form can sit underneath the nail. So in this clip here is my first attempt of applying the dual form to my nail, and then I realized that I probably should add more polygel because there was a gap in between the dual form and the paper form because I didn't add enough polygel, since the dual form is really curved, so you do have to add a pretty good amount of polygel in order it to touch down to the paper form. I hope that's making sense, but you can kind of see here that there is a hole in between the paper form and the dual form, so I didn't cure it. I ended up taking it off and adding more polygel. I went ahead and added more polygel. I put it back onto my nail and then cured it. And I think the main reason that this nail turned out looking so crazy, it really does look quite horrendous, I know. But this is definitely the worst nail out of all of them. None of them really ended up looking that great. I'm not saying that this sandwich method with the paper form doesn't work, because I think it does. It's just kind of a user error sort of thing. I was kind of just learning as I went along, and I didn't get any practice with this method prior to this video. And also I haven't done polygel in many years, or not years, in many months, I meant to say. So that was just kind of it felt like I was learning to do polygel all over again, since I haven't done it in quite a while. So I think if I did get practice before this video, this sandwich method would have worked out a lot better. As you can see, I am also having difficulties getting my dual form off the polygel. I ended up getting the sharp end of my metal cuticle pusher to pop it off, and that seemed to work okay. Okay, big reveal. Here it is. It definitely does not look good, but like I said, I am going to be trimming them and filing them later, and it will look a lot better later, but we're going to keep it like this for now and move on to the next nail. And I just wanted to show you really quickly that the underside is smooth, which is kind of the whole point of this sandwich method. It keeps the underside of the nail smooth so you don't have to file the underside, and it also kind of keeps the polygel from getting onto the underside of your natural nail, if that makes sense. So that's kind of like the main point of the sandwich nail. or sandwich polygel application, and so I guess it technically did work. It's just the nail doesn't look good. And it also even made the underside of the nail shiny, which I really like. So I don't really have much else to talk about right now, so I'm just kind of gonna let it play out until there's something I want to say. I feel like I did get better with each nail, so this second one is slightly better than the first one, but still didn't come out that great. So for this next nail, I did make the mistake of making the paper form a stiletto shape, and you can see that the dual form is more of a roundish shape, and I definitely should have just kept the paper form a wider shape so that the dual form can fit all the way onto the paper form, because you'll see here that when I put the dual form on, the paper form does not cover all of the dual form, if that makes sense. So I think if I didn't do that, this nail would have turned out pretty decent. But I think I was just having trouble kind of shaping the paper form in the specific shape that I wanted it. So I was just kind of having trouble with the paper form, and that's why I ended up doing the stiletto shape, but I definitely shouldn't have done it that way. And by the way, there is some clay on the top of the dual form, as you can see. I just didn't bother taking it off because before it was on the nail stand. And I might not have filmed it every time, but I have been fully curing the top before taking the dual form off and everything, of course. And then after the dual form and the paper form are off, I do cure the bottom as well, just to make sure that gel is fully cured, just to be completely safe. So since I did make that mistake of making the paper form a stiletto last time, I did realize that I shouldn't do it for this next nail. So this time I just kind of tried to make the paper form more of a rounded shape and just hoped that it stayed in place, and it did. I was actually pretty happy with this nail, especially compared to all of the other nails. I think this is the best nail out of all 4 that I did on camera, aside from the thumbnail, which I didn't film that one for this video, but out of the 4 I did on camera, I was pretty happy with this one the most, and I think it turned out pretty good. Of course, it's not perfect, it still does need some filing, but I was really happy with this nail. Okay, maybe I shouldn't say really happy with this nail, but compared to the other ones, it definitely went better than the other ones. And this nail did turn out a little crooked. I did that on accident, but other than that, it was decent. Honestly, I think I was just having bad luck with this nail set today because my pinky nail had an issue too, because I applied too much polygel into the dual form and it just ended up looking really thick, especially around the cuticle area, and I just had to file off a lot of it. But that was really the only problem with the pinky nail. So if you're wondering if the sandwich polygel method works with a paper form instead of getting the sandwich polygel dual form kit, I would say that it does. but it might be a little less beginner friendly than the actual sandwich dual form kits, but I can't exactly say because I have actually never tried the sandwich dual forms before, like I said earlier in the video. So maybe I'll give those a try and I'll let you guys know which one is easier. Let me know if I should try the sandwich dual forms, like the actual sandwich dual form kits. Let me know if you've tried them before and if you recommend them, because I might do a video on those. And I know the nails look really bulky and ugly right now, but overall, this sandwich method does do what it's supposed to, because it made the underside of the nails very smooth, and it made it so there's no leakage underneath the nail. Like sometimes you'll have that issue if you do the regular dual forms by themselves, as you probably have found if you have used regular dual forms before, and it helps prevent that as well. So I think after a little bit of practice, I think it would work really well. I did clip them down a bit, as you saw, but I still did leave a little bit of length. And out of all the bad luck I had with this nail set so far, I actually did clip them pretty evenly, which I'm usually pretty bad about, so I was happy about that at least. I still think I need to get those little magnets to attach to the nail clipper to make sure that I am clipping all of the nails the same length. Next, I am wiping down the top and the bottom of the nails with an alcohol wipe to remove the sticky layer, and this just helps so that all that gunk doesn't get in your nail file. And also, if you do go and take a break or something, you don't have to worry about getting dog hair or lint or anything on your nails. I mean, it still could happen even after wiping off the sticky layer, but it's a lot less likely to get all that stuff on your nails. So I am going to file the sides down, and I'm eventually going to get out my e-file, but I'm starting out with just a hand file, a 100/180 grit file to be exact, and I just want to shape them up as best I can. Especially this index fingernail here that's looking a little wonky. And I ended up kind of doing a combination between a coffin shape and a square. Kind of more of a square, but it was a little tapered like a coffin. So I don't know, it was in between the two. And I did do some of it off camera just because there was so much filing to do with this nail set. Now that the sides of the nail and the free edge of the nails are all filed, I am going to be using my e-file now, and I'm keeping it around 10 to 12,000 RPM, and I'm just going to mostly be working around the cuticle area with the e-file, and you can definitely continue using a regular file for this part too, but I know the e-file does save a lot of time, so I just decided to take out my e-file for this part. I'm now going to take my buffing block and just buff my Polygel nails. I am buffing all of the shine off of them just because, in my opinion, it is a little bit easier to do nail art when the nails are not shiny, but you definitely don't have to do this step if you don't want to. And finally, I am just taking an alcohol wipe and wiping all of that nail dust off to prep them for the nail art so they are nice and clean. And now we can get into the fun part where we do the strawberry nail art. So we are starting off nice and easy with this first nail for the nail art. So I have this really cute nail sticker sheet, and it just has a bunch of different like picture frames and flowers on it and stuff like that. So I am going to be using this white picture frame design on the first nail. I do have my nail charm box out here, and I am going to be using this red bow charm. So cute. And I did end up adding on to this nail later on when I was finishing up the set. I went back and added on some polka dots, which you will see later on in this video. But right now I am just sticking a bow in the middle of the picture frame using my rhinestone glue from Betty Cora. And anytime I'm using nail charms or rhinestones or anything like that, I do a flash cure just to make sure it stays in place. And then later on, I am going to do a full cure. For this next nail, I'm going to be trying out this Fudge UV gel from Temu. I have not used this yet, but I'm really excited to try it out. And it just kind of creates a 3D nail art, whatever shape you want it to be. It's really similar to rhinestone glue, but just a little bit thicker, and I did really enjoy working with it. I did not film it, but I did end up doing a second layer over this first layer just to make it even more of a 3D effect. Now I'm going to be hand painting a little strawberry in the middle of my nail. I'm starting with my Model 1's red gel polish, just putting a little bit on my nail palette. And I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but I am actually doing this nail set on my dominant hand, which means I am using my non-dominant hand to do all of this nail art. And I really struggle with using my non-dominant hand to do nail art. Even something as simple as a strawberry, I did really struggle with. But I am using a dotting tool to create this strawberry part, and I did try to perfect it a little bit off camera. So then for the leaf part, I am going to be using my Beetles gel liner. For the seeds, I am going to be using the Savvyland white gel polish. I'm just putting a little bit on my nail polish palette, and all of my dotting tools seemed like they would be a little too big to make the seeds, so I did just end up getting a toothpick and kind of just using it as a dotting tool. For this next nail, I'm going to be using this Beetles gel liner in red, and I am creating some vertical and horizontal lines across my nail. And I did struggle with this a little bit since, again, I am using my non-dominant hand, but it actually turned out better than I thought it would be. I did have to clean it up a few times using my mini lint-free Q-tips with acetone, and that did help make it look better. I do apologize if I ever get out of frame or if the camera gets unfocused. I was really focusing on this nail and not really looking at the viewfinder on the camera, so sometimes it did get out of focus and I didn't realize it right away, so I do apologize for that. I'm also adding some nail charms to this nail as well. So first a strawberry nail, and then I also added a bunny nail, and the bunny is holding a strawberry. It's so adorable. So before I did my pinky nail, this is when I decided I wanted to add on to my index fingernail. So I'm just doing some polka dots with the Model 1's red gel polish I used earlier, and I am using my dotting tool for that. For my pinky, I am going to be using this gel liner in white, and I did get this from Temu. I don't really know what this design is called, but I did see something similar on Pinterest and I thought it was so cute, so I wanted to kind of recreate it just in my own way. And then for the little dashes on the white, I am just using my Beetles red gel liner again. To finish off this nail, I am just adding a strawberry slice nail charm. Today I'm going to be using my Beetles Shiny Gel Top Coat. And for the big nail charms, I just kind of go around it with the top coat, and that kind of helps it secure it in place even more. And of course, I will cure it in my large nail lamp, whatever the recommended time is on the bottle. And here's how they turned out, considering how the application process went and just how they looked before I filed everything and did all the nail art. I think they turned out so cute. I love them so much. I do definitely want to try out the sandwich method again using paper forms. I feel like now that I got practice, I could definitely do it a lot better now. And it doesn't even have to be with Polygel, it could be with Builder Gel or something like that. And I might consider getting the actual sandwich dual forms to try those out as well, because I think those would be a little easier than using a paper form. Okay, so that is the nail set. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much. Put some pink hearts in the comments so I know that you made it this far. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to give this video a like, maybe a hype, and subscribe if you're not subscribed already for more nail content. I do try to post every week. So I'll see you guys next week and have an amazing day. Bye!